Well, the problem that is facing the whole of Africa is leadership. If we can fix leadership, I can promise you now, Africa will be one of the most successful continents. Let me break it down for you. I want to make it as simple as I can. I don't want to speak decent English. I don't want to put bombastic words and all of that. Let's just talk simple politics, plain and simple. Here's my point. Africa is suffering from poor leadership. If you find yourself migrating from your home country to a foreign country, it's because of lack of leadership from your very own country. No one in their sane mind will leave their country and come to struggle or to continue to face poverty or hardship in a foreign country. It would make sense to me if you study overseas. Let's say you go to Harvard University, you study law or you study economic science or you study whatever the course, and after the completion you decide to find a job there and later on come back to build an empire in your home country. It would make sense to me. Or maybe you go to what is this country that has got one of the is producing one of the best medical doctors. So South Africa sometimes send their students there. I'll remember the country anyway. So here's my point. So as much as we lack leadership, this is how our leaders are operating. Our leaders, politicians. That's why I always say politicians are the reason why people are suffering in the whole continent, especially in Africa. Africa is very rich, has got minerals, has got, all crude oils, everything. We actually have got everything. But if you look at the most poorer of the poorest people in Africa are black people, Africans themselves. We actually live more like we are second-class citizens in our home country. I don't care whether you are in Nigeria, there's oil in Nigeria. I don't care if whether you are in South Africa, there's gold, there's platinum, there's diamond and that everything. So our leaders are bought, are captured, they've got a price tag. And here's what they do. Politicians, they canvass, they come to the people, they promise people that they will do this, they will do that. As soon as the people come and vote for them, and then it's self-serving now, self-enrichment. They don't care anymore about the people. If you look at what is going on now in Zimbabwe, and I will run this through also South African politics and also other neighboring countries, Mozambique, Malawi, Rwanda, DRC, you can mention all of those African countries. Here's my point. In Rwanda, they experienced a genocide more than 30 years ago. If you investigate deeper what exactly was happening, it was a war between the Tutsis and the Hutus. So these other ones, they want to crash this other one. So we are running a tribal politics, a politics which is based on tribe. I've mentioned this about my home country, South Africa. Nelson Mandela came in as the first democratically elected president in South Africa. Nelson Mandela was closer. Thabo Mbeki was closer. Do the statistics and check. Many Xhosas benefited during their tenure because these presidents, they favored Xhosa people. Jacob Zuma came also, kicking out Thabo Mbeki after his resignation in 2007. Jacob Zuma came, he also pushed Zulus. Zulus continued to, if you can look at KZN during Jacob Zuma's tenure was very rich, was fertile. That's when they decided to develop those brands, Devon Rocks and all of that. Economically, it was booming. Tourists were flocking into KZN. He did a very good job, by the way, but for his home province, because what he did in KZN doesn't mean that he did it in Northwest, in Free State, in Limpopo, in other countries, other provinces. which is very sad, by the way. And now we cross to Cyril Ramaphosa. Cyril Ramaphosa also came into being president. He pulled all those vendors, closer to it. The Chabinis, the Maguinyas, the Ronald Lamulas, those are vendors. It's I don't know, I don't have any other better way to put it. So every politician is pulling his own tribe closer to him so that they can benefit and they desert or they disown other tribes. That's the biggest problem. Now let's go to Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe also had the same problem. There were times when Matebele people were attacked from Matebele land because the Shonas are the most favored. The Shonas, in fact, if you talk about ZANU-PF in Zimbabwe, you're talking about the Shonas. And the Shonas isolated themselves from the Ndebeles. If you can check even crime statistics in South Africa, they say Zimbabweans who are committing crime in South Africa, it's not Shonas. Shonas are very decent people. Shonas are people who actually love education. Shonas are obsessed with success and all of that and doing everything legal. But the Ndebeles who are from Zimbabwe are the ones who are violent. Not all of them, by the way, but I've observed, that's my observation, and we can engage this. And someone maybe come with a different view. I've got Shona friends, I've got Ndebele friends. Ndebele friends, we don't really get along because I don't like the part of solving problems through violence. This is Okchaya. And then so that you know that, no, there's going to be violence and and something very small can blow out of proportion and you end up maybe having a very serious argument with Ndebele people who are from Zimbabwe. If you look at South Africa, most probably people that are closer in comparison to the Ndebeles are the Zulus. So exactly the same. We know that if there could be maybe violence or anything or any kind of an attack, Zulus will always take the front seat because they are brave, even during the Shaka Zulus and all of that. It has been like that. It's I don't know if I should say it's not a culture. It's something that they inherited and they took it upon themselves that listen, this is how we're going to do things, and then we're gonna stand. It comes natural. I don't have any other better way. I'm sorry if I'm offending people, but I'm just trying to put my view on the table. So the late Robert Mugabe was president in Zimbabwe, and he didn't like the Ndebeles. So he had a very, very serious problem. Up to where the Ndebeles were attacked at Matebele land, because actually he wanted to crush this tribe so that they can remain with Shona and they can continue with having Shonas as people who are decent, people who love education, people who are fascinating, people who are innovative and all of that. So that created some kind of tribalism issues within politics. So as much as Zimbabwe now is talking about impeachment and all of that, they're saying, okay, we are tired with Emerson Mnangagwa, so we need to push him out. And then now the question remains, which is something that most African politics, the most revolutionaries, they miss that point that before you can talk about impeachment, you need to talk about successor, who is going to succeed. I've been observing, by the way, which is a good thing, by the way. I've been observing General Geza, who's pushing for Emerson Mnangagwa, to be pushed out, to be impeached, to he overstayed. His health is a concern, and he himself also is very much old. And I'm asking myself, this old man, as much as he's a war veteran, he's having so much experience, is he actually intending to become president of Zimbabwe? And if he's actually planning to become president, it's a shame, because why would Africa bet on old people like Comrade Geza, Emerson Mnangagwa, Cyril Ramaphosa? why should you actually be 65 years, 70 years so that you can start dreaming of becoming a president? Why is it not a norm that young people with fresh mind, who are innovative, preferably who are not politically affiliated? If you look at Nelson Chamisa from Citizens Coalition for Change in Zimbabwe, he is a lawyer by profession. So he had to switch to politics because now you cannot enjoy being a lawyer in a country whereby there's no justice. There's no justice. Like, the justice system is just nonsensical. It's something that doesn't really make sense. It has got eyes and all of that. The same issue that we are facing here in South Africa. Recently now, the public protector has cleared Cyril Ramaphosa of nothing wrong. He has done wrong during the 2022 ANC, abuse of state. You remember that case that they said the ANC was campaigning in 2022 and they used the government resources to push their campaign. Those are politics that you can't really get through them and have anyone prosecuted in that regard. It can't be that you want the president to be prosecuted on this issue when he could not be prosecuted for dollars and pounds under his mattress, when the CR17 bank statement are still sealed, when the Marikana issue is just one bedtime story that's never get to be discussed. And all these politicians, they continue to show arrogance, and as soon as they ascend into power, they now start to show their true colors. They start to be arrogant. They start to now have their own loyalist position. Take Ronald Lamola, give him the IR, international relation minister, whatever. Take this one, put him there. Take Senzo Mkhunu, put him there. Take Jeff Radebe, remove that old KZN premier and put Jeff Radebe. Jeff Radebe, by the way, is a brother-in-law to Cyril Ramaphosa because they are married from the same family, the Motsepe family. As much as I've also elaborated that politicians, they are in arranged marriages. They are not really in happy marriages as they are in some kind of arranged marriages that you are a politician, you must marry from the royal family or from the whatever. So those are kind of gangsterism arrangement kind of marriages that are being actually perpetuated in a political space, that you can't just pick anyone to marry. So that is why we see what we see now. And even Patrice Motsepe is one of the favorite to Ramaphosa because it's a brother-in-law. Their brother-in-law. And so whatever that is going on, in fact, if you zoom closer, Patrice Motsepe would love to be president in South Africa. And by the way, I don't like him to reach that space. I wish success for him, but I don't want him to be president of South Africa because he's a capitalist. He's someone who's chasing profit. I know that he will start with electricity, the IPP issue, and all of that. So all those outstanding contracts that are gathering dust that they have actually prepared for South Africa, but now they can see that they don't have that space, to implement those nonsensical contracts that electricity is very cheap, we need competitors, Eskom must raise its tariffs so that we can come as IPP competitors and all of this. So those are the things that politicians, when they are sitting, so if really they say Ramaphosa is a billionaire, Patrice Motsepe is a billionaire, why would you be a billionaire and lack some consensus that you still want to take more from the poor people instead of you giving back as a philanthropist, that you're giving back to the poor people? You actually have some sense of humor that, listen, people have suffered enough. And I don't blame them because they are middle class politicians. Some of them, they are capitalists like Patrice Motsepe. So they have been the chosen ones to be used, to achieve certain goals of the investors or whatever you call them. They are white monopoly capitalists. So they are not working for themselves. They are actually being used actually to perpetuate certain things and certain systems that continues to benefit the richest people. So if you look at Zimbabwe now, as much as they push for this revolution, I've never heard them mentioning that who actually is going to take over. If you impeach Emmerson Mnangagwa now, who is going to be president of Zimbabwe? Are you going to have someone from ZANU-PF to be president, or you are pushing ZANU-PF completely? If you want to push ZANU-PF completely, you need to go to elections tomorrow or even next week. So you choose your own party that will be aligned with your wishes, and also the president that you wish to have. So I've never heard them talking about that part of who is going to succeed Emmerson Mnangagwa if he gets impeached. Let the Zimbabweans, before they push this, because it's a waste of energy. When you get into a struggle is something that is very difficult. So if you get into a struggle, you need to also have a plan that who exactly you want to be in charge, after you push. We knew that in 2007, when we pushed Thabo Mbeki, we wanted Jacob Zuma. He was already endorsed. He was already singing Mshinwa, Mshinwa, Mauleti Mshinwa. So that's the kind of vibe that I want to see from Zimbabwe, that if you're pushing this man out, yes, he's corrupt, yes, he's too old, he's forgetful, his health is a concern and whatsoever, then but who is going to come in filling up the shoes to becoming president of Zimbabwe? You don't want to push Emmerson just like you did when you pushed the late Robert Mugabe, and then you put the crocodile. The crocodile, Emmerson, came and did exactly the same thing that he pushed the same mandate. So that's what I'm actually very much careful about. So Zimbabweans, whatever that you're going through now, yes, we appreciate, and we are willing to help you, to support you. We don't condone injustices. We don't want ZANU-PF. Some of us, we just don't want ZANU-PF. We don't want ANC, because those liberation movements have become useless, have become middle-class political parties which don't really care about the poor of the poorest. But at the same time, when you're pushing the struggle, you need to think about who is going to succeed Emmerson Mnangagwa. That's what you need to think of. Currently, you should be thinking of, because you are going to push him out, and there's no one in charge, and everybody would want to be in charge. Because if you look at African leadership, I don't know why Africans are so obsessed with power. You might be surprised when you push him out, you impeach him. Comrade Geza, emerges as wanting to be a president. As old as he is, he's too old. That man is too old to be president. He's too old. He must never get anywhere closer, even a ministerial position. He should never be a minister of transport or education. There's nothing there. He only knows about war, but there's nothing that he can bring to the people of Zimbabwe. So people of Zimbabwe should nominate someone who's young, who's educated. I don't worry about being poor or being rich, because even Cyril Ramaphosa came and they said, no, he's rich, he's a billionaire, but he continued to steal. So it's not going to make sense. It starts here with a political will. Choose someone who has got a political will to take Zimbabwe forward. The people like Rutendo is very smart with all his degrees and all of that, but for the fact that he continues to be pro-ZANU-PF, I don't see him making sense to me politically to ascending to become president. He's got wonderful, and he's very innovative. He's a genius, that guy. He's well educated, but sometimes being educated doesn't mean it goes with wisdom. Wisdom is a different package, and if you are sane and you want to say ZANU-PF is doing a good job, then it's like in South Africa when you're saying ANC is doing a good job. It sounds nonsensical. Otherwise, let me stop here. Squatters, thank you very much for watching my content. Thank you very much for the support. Click that notification bell when I drop the content. You happen to be the first to know. Thank you for supporting my channel. Let's push it to 5K subscribers. And I want to also thank the new subscribers. Welcome to the Squatter family. Let's keep it burning sharp.